Let's begin with a new lesson today, and that is tissues. So first of all, we need to know what exactly is a tissue. So tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. We have studied before that a cell is a basic structural and functional unit of life, and similar cells work together to form a tissue. Likewise, different tissues work together to form an organ. Different organs work together to form an organ system, and all the organ systems in your body constitute an organism. And these are together called levels of organization. So cell, which is the basic structural and functional unit of life, they group together and perform a specific function to form tissues. Tissues basically are of two kinds, that is plant tissues and animal tissues. First, we'll be talking about plant tissues. Plant tissues can be broadly classified as meristematic and permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues are those tissues that divide actively. They are actively dividing cells. Whereas permanent tissues have lost their ability to divide. We can say that meristematic tissues only give rise to permanent tissues. And the major difference between the two is meristematic cells can divide actively, whereas permanent cells or permanent tissue, they cannot divide. Meristematic cells are found in growing regions of the plant, growing tips, that is root tip and shoot tip, whereas permanent tissue forms the bulk of the plant body. The entire plant body except for the growing tips is made up of permanent tissue. Meristematic cells, if you take a closer look at their structure, you will find are somewhat cubical in shape. The cells are thin-walled and they have a very prominent or large nucleus. So cells are small, they are cubical in shape, they have a prominent nucleus and they have very thin walls. They are basically of three kinds: apical, lateral and intercalary. If we take a look at this stem, we will find that meristematic tissues which are present at the tip of the stem, they constitute the apical meristem. The ones which are present laterally or on the sides of the stem, they constitute the lateral meristem. And the ones which are present at the base of the internode. Remember, in a stem, the area or the portion or the region where a leaf arises is called a node, and the leafless portion between two nodes is called the internode. So those meristematic cells which are present at the base of the internode, they constitute the intercalary meristem. So meristematic tissue is of three kinds: apical, present at the apex or the tip, we also call it terminal meristem; lateral, present on the sides just beneath the bark, also known as cambium; and intercalary, present at the base of the internodes. And what functions do they perform? Apical meristem is present at the tip or the apex of the stem or the root, and thus helps the plant to increase in height. So it helps the plant to increase in height. Lateral meristem, present on the sides, helps the plant to increase in thickness or in diameter, or what we call as girth, G-I-R-T-H. So it helps to increase the width or the girth or the thickness or the diameter of the stem. Intercalary meristem, present at the base of the internodes, helps in the elongation of the internodes, increases the length of the internodes, thereby adding to the length of the plant. So this is all you need to know about meristematic tissue, the three kinds, the regions where they are present, the types and their functions. Next we move on to permanent tissue. Permanent tissue again can be divided into three categories. Now in the three categories, according to the function they perform. We have protective. Next one is supportive. And third one is conducting. So protective, supportive and conducting. Under protective, we have one example or type, and that is epidermis. Epidermis is present on the surface of the root, stem or leaf, that is on the surface of the plant body, and as the name says protective, it protects the inner parts of the plant. So if you are asked which tissue is present on the surface of root, surface of stem or leaf, you will write epidermis. Supportive connective tissue is again of three kinds. Parenchyma, I'll erase it and write it properly. P-A-R-E-N, parenchyma. Collenchyma, C-O-L-L-E-N-C-H-Y-M-A, and sclerenchyma. So three kinds of supportive tissues: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma consists of thin-walled cells. If you take a look at the parenchyma cells, you'll find them to be thin-walled. And they have intercellular spaces in between them. Like you can see, I have left spaces here in between. These are the intercellular spaces. They have a prominent vacuole. They have a nucleus which is peripheral in location, south in this area. And this area is filled with cytoplasm. This is what parenchyma cells look like. And they are found in softer parts of the plant. Their main function is to store food. When these parenchyma cells contain lot of chloroplasts, they also help in photosynthesis. On the other hand, the collenchyma cells are somewhat elongated only, looking similar to parenchyma, but there are almost nil intercellular spaces because they are thick at the corners. You will see pectin thickenings at the corners. So collenchyma cells, they are thick at edges or thick at corners. And what are these thickenings composed of? Pectin. Cellulose plus pectin. Whereas parenchyma has thin-walled cells which are made of cellulose, and these have thickenings at the corners or on the edges which are made of cellulose plus pectin. Their vacuole size is a bit smaller than the parenchyma. They also have a peripheral cytoplasm having prominent nucleus here. So both parenchyma and collenchyma cells are living in nature. These have thin cell walls. Here cell walls are thick at the corners. They are mainly performing the function of storage of food and provide temporary support. Remember, they come under supportive tissue, paren, collen and scleren, all three. So they provide temporary support. But this tissue provides mechanical strength and provides more rigid support. So this provides mechanical strength to the plant, and it is characterized by thickenings at the corners or edges. Then we have sclerenchyma. Now sclerenchyma cells are somewhat hexagonal in shape. Hexagons are six-sided figures. They are somewhat hexagonal in shape. And they have uniformly thick walls. These are the thickenings that I am drawing. So they have uniformly thick walled cells. So parenchyma, thin walled cells. Sclerenchyma, thick at the corners or edges. Collenchyma, thick at the corners or edges. And sclerenchyma, uniformly thick walled cells. But as you can see, these cells do not have a vacuole or nucleus or cytoplasm here. That is because they are empty from inside, as they are dead cells. So sclerenchyma cells are dead cells. Paren and collen are living. Sclerenchyma provides rigid, hard mechanical support to the plant. It is found in leaf veins and also in other hard parts of the plant. So this is about the three kinds of supporting tissues. Next we have conducting tissues. Conducting tissues are of two kinds, xylem and phloem. Now as the name says, conducting, xylem helps to conduct or carry water and minerals in a plant. From where to where? From the roots to upper parts of the plant. Whereas phloem helps to translocate. For food we use the word translocate. Manufactured food from the leaves to different parts of the plant. So conducting tissues are of two kinds, xylem and phloem. When we started with our discussion on tissues, the first thing told to you was that a tissue is a group of similar cells, but xylem and phloem are an exception to it. They are composed of different kinds of cells. Like xylem is composed of 4 kinds of cells. They are tracheids, vessels, parenchyma, that is xylem parenchyma, and fibers. Tracheids, vessels and fibers are all dead at maturity. They are all dead. Whereas parenchyma is the only living component of xylem. Tracheids and vessels help the xylem to conduct water and minerals. Fibers provide mechanical strength, and parenchyma is storing food. So basically, xylem is a dead tissue composed of these 4 elements, having only one living component, and that is xylem parenchyma, and its function is to conduct water and minerals in a plant from root to upper parts. Coming to phloem, which also is made up of 4 kinds of cells. What are they? Sieve tubes, companion cells, again parenchyma, and fibers. So these are the 4 elements of phloem, in which sieve tubes are living, companion cells are living, parenchyma is living, and fibers are dead. So basically, phloem is a living tissue with only one dead component, and that is fibers. Other 3 components are living, and its primary function is to translocate food from leaves to all parts of the plant. And when I say all, it means both upper and lower. Like if this leaf is manufacturing food in a plant, it will translocate it in the upward direction also and in the downward direction also. But xylem helps in conduction of water only in the upward direction, that is from the roots to upper parts of the plant. Now sieve tubes look somewhat elongated like this, and they are called sieve because sieve means something which is used to filter. Just like you make tea and you use a strainer to keep the tea leaves away, sieve means chalni, what you say. So sieve tube cells have sieves at their ends. They are elongated cells through which food moves, and associated with them are the companion cells. Just as the name says, companion, someone who gives company or helps. Companion cells help the sieve tubes in translocation of food. As you can see, companion cells have a prominent nucleus, but sieve tubes lack it. There's a major difference between sieve tubes and companion cells. Sieve tubes lack a nucleus, whereas companion cells are always nucleated, and together they help in translocation of food. So this is all you need to know about xylem, phloem and their components and their nature.